All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Golfers Anonymous podcast. I am your host, Noah, and this week we have our seventh guest, Justin Lee. Justin, I'll let you introduce yourself in a second, but I'll just give a quick reminder to everybody or refresher if this is your first time listening to the pod about what this podcast exactly is. So every week I bring on a new guest, and this guest is essentially just your regular, everyday golfer. Some obviously lower handicaps than others, but we can have anybody on here from beginner to scratch. That's the goal. With the thesis that everyone has really unique reasons for why they play golf, very unique reasons for how they got into golf and why they keep playing. Golf is this really interesting sport where you don't just like play golf like you play like pickup basketball. Like everyone I know who plays golf is like truly addicted to this sport in many ways. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of that by doing this weekly show. So Justin, I'll turn it over to you. Just so you know, typically how I have people introduce themselves on the pod is I want you to say your name, how long you've been playing golf, and then your current handicap.
Hey, yeah, I'm Justin. Been playing golf for, you could say, 20 years now. Um, and my current handicap is about like a 3.5 to 4,
And
whatever
it,
it
and it,
says on 18 birdies. But
and
yeah.
is that the lowest your handicap has been?
No, the lowest my handicap has been was probably sophomore summer in high school, maybe even like that junior year, like our golf season. I was
Got it.
down to a .5. Um, but ever since it's been on the up, so I need to turn that trend around at some point.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. You said you've been playing for 20 years. I think you're officially the longest tenured golfer we've had on the show. Why
Mhm.
don't you tell me kind of just like how you got into golf in the first place? So yeah, we'll start with that.
Yeah, I think like most people, my dad was really into golf, and that's kind of how I started getting into it. Like thinking about it now, what I do at home is what he was doing at home when I was, like 5 to 10 years old, just swinging the club in front of the mirror, putting on the carpet, like doing all that. But yeah, I guess, just being around him and, he loved golf so much. He would have it, like I was saying, he'd swing at home, have the PGA Tour on the TV, and, he'd take me to a range a few times. So like, that's kind of how it started for me. I wasn't playing too much, obviously, back then. So like me starting golf when I was 5 was mainly just following my dad around, just slapping the ball on
Right.
the range. But yeah, just being around him, and like I think he recognized that I was, you know, I enjoyed being around him when he was playing golf, and even watching Tiger on the TV. So then, he tried to bring me along, and I wanted to go along with him. So that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, very cool. So at what point then did you kind of pick it up a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, so probably around when I was like 10 or 11 is when, I would actually go to the range, go to the, chipping green and start to play a little bit more. It was mostly like twilight times that we would go out because they didn't want like a fifth grader, messing up pace of play on like a weekend morning or anything like that. So mainly, after school, go play 9 holes with my dad. And then from there, I fell in love with that's when I really fell in love with the game and was kind of obsessed with, getting better, going the range and things like that.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
you are one of our only guests that's far that has also played a good amount of competitive golf. So
Mhm.
can you tell me a little bit about like when you started playing competitively and what that looked like at an early age?
Yeah, I've always been a pretty competitive person in general. So when I heard about the opportunity to play in junior tournaments, that's just something that I wanted to do. I think my dad had just brought it up as like, oh, like there are these tournaments that are available, and that's kind of immediately what I gravitated towards. But yeah, I think my first tournament was probably when I was 11, I think sixth grade or seventh grade. It was just one of those local, I think they called it the Junior PGA or the US Kids Golf tournaments.
Hmm.
It had like a field of like 12 kids my age. I think yeah, 18 holes, stroke play. So yeah, that's kind of how I first got my first taste of playing in tournaments. It was just one round too.
Right.
Um,
What are
and then
those? What are
from the,
those little kid tournaments like? Like that must be like a pretty interesting scene.
yeah, it was, man. I mean, it was like dad would caddy for you. That was like pretty much across the board. Dad would carry your clubs. You go play. But yeah, I mean, you just in a group with two other, juniors. Um, Everyone's taking it pretty seriously because they're nervous.
Right.
Um, and but there was always that one kid that was way too fucking good for everybody else. Like he had been getting lessons for a while, he was locked in, had, fitted clubs, all that.
Right.
So yeah, like because it was a tour and you got points for, placing a certain way, and then it was aggregated throughout the season. So there would always be that one kid who was just winning pretty much every tournament, which kind of
Right.
sucked. But
And what
uh,
aside from the one outlier, what was the typical like skill level of the rest of the fifth or sixth graders out there?
I mean, I guess relative for the age, it was pretty good.
Right.
I guess like if you're that age and you're looking to play in tournaments, you're playing decently seriously, at least for that time. But I mean, still, I guess the range was, shooting like mid 70s to mid 90s
You
or
had
low
fifth graders out
hundreds.
there shooting mid 70s?
Yeah, man. I mean, it
Dude,
was from the
that's
red tees,
crazy. Oh,
but
okay,
yeah,
okay. I
like
mean,
that kid
still,
that was,
that's dope.
yeah, that kid that was dominating was shooting, I think he had a few under par rounds in there too. So,
Wow,
I
that's
wonder where
crazy.
he's at now, actually. Makes me,
Maybe we'll get him on the podcast eventually. We'll track him down. Um, but so you played in your first tournament,
Mm.
and then you just kind of you just decide like this is going to be the I feel like everyone when they're a kid has like their one sport that they probably put the most focus towards, and you were just like this is golf is going to be my thing.
I didn't know at that time, like in sixth grade or fifth grade. I decided actually going into high school because I had to make the decision between playing golf or soccer.
Okay.
And the reason being they were both in the fall season. So I mean they were both, I think golf was always number one, but soccer was a close number two. So and like the thing with soccer is I had a lot of, teammates and friends that, I had played with growing up. So yeah, eighth grade is kind of when I had to make the decision because, high school, I could only play one, and it was really tough decision for me to make, but ended up just going with golf because I felt like, A, I liked it a little bit more, and I was better at it than at
Yeah,
soccer. So
that makes sense.
yeah.
So tell me about high school golf then. What did that look like? What did the because you did golf all 4 years. I believe you're on
Mm,
varsity all 4 years. I imagine. So
sir.
so tell me what that was like.
Damn, high school golf was honestly, some of my fondest memories just in life.
That's what Matt said too.
Yeah, I mean, just being like practice was playing 9 holes, and our coach was he used to work at the country club in Brookline, so like he was the guy that got us on the course. So for our practice, we were playing 9 holes at the country club. Like it doesn't get any fucking better than that. And yeah, like just being around your friends, like Matt, I met by playing golf and
Right.
being on the team with him, and yeah, my closest friends even to this day were on the golf team. So just being able to play matches during practice, and then playing matches, in real matches where we're playing against other people, it was just so much fun. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
when you go out for practice, playing 9 holes in high school on the high school golf team, like Are you going out there trying to work on something, or is it really just like let's get as many reps as possible in in these matches to simulate a real competition, or are you like, oh, today I want to work on my driver or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just simulate competition. So what our coach Bill would like to do is set up these, just small tournaments, like 9-hole tournaments for practice, right? So for our high school matches, it was all 2v2, and we played this format called 3 point. So like the one seed would play against the one seed, and then the eight seed would play against the eight seed.
Got it.
And then a point, like you would get a point by beating your opponent. And then the third point came from best ball, right, in that group. So yeah, like he would kind of simulate that format in practice, pair us up with somebody else. And usually he would try to pair us up with somebody that we didn't really play with often, um, you know, to just kind of mix it up, put you in uncomfortable situations. And I mean, sometimes if, your driver or your putting was in shambles, like he would be like, "Don't play nine today." Like
Right.
I'm keeping your ass on the putting green type of thing. But that was if you were like truly in a crisis situation.
Right. Do you have like a defining memory from your time playing high school golf, like a most memorable match or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I do. I guess the one I really remember is a match we played against Wellesley. And it was just a great round overall for me, and my playing partner was Matt at the time, and we were playing well to start, but the guys we were playing against just went like, they birdied like two of the first three holes. We had par, so like we were down early, and we just started going on a tear. Like that was, if you think about players going on fire in, basketball or whatever, like that's like almost like
Microwave.
you microwave. Like the only real time I felt that playing golf, just draining 30 footers, 35. Like you can even ask Matt. It was nuts. But yeah, we ended up coming back, and we sealed it by I made eagle on the last and Matt made birdie. So
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, and it was Wellesley was one of our rivals, I guess. Like it was always a kind of a toss up. So for it to come against them was, cherry on top.
And you guys had a pretty good team, right? Like made states and all that stuff pretty regularly.
Yeah, in my 4 years, I think we made states three times. And yeah, our last year we were really solid, and we had a freshman, James and Mai. Maybe get him on the pod at some point, but great player, and he really helped us out. So I think our my senior year was when we ended up placing the best at states. It might not have been like the best top to down team,
Right.
but yeah, no, we did really solid. Yeah.
Um, well, very cool. You brought up James and I. Is he, or I guess my question is, who's the best golfer you've either gone up against or like best golfer that you've seen in like one of these competitions, whether it's high school or like something outside of the team?
I guess at the time in high school, the guy that was intimidating and felt like the best at the time was this guy, Jake Schumann. I was a sophomore and he was a senior. And I mean, he was just like a big dude, had qualified for a lot of big tournaments, US Junior, maybe even USAM at the time. So and he went to Needham. So whenever we had a match against him, it was, circled on the calendar. It felt big time. And I think, yeah, maybe his like resulting career might not have been the best out of guys I've played in tournaments before, but
Mm-hmm.
I think in the moment he felt like I just can't beat this guy. He was
Right.
hitting like his 3-iron stinger further than my driver, just hooping eagle putts like it was nothing. So at the time I was like, this guy is unbeatable.
Jacob Schumann. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
look him up, see where he is now. But anyways, all right. So last question on the competitive golf piece before we move on to some other stuff. So one thing I'm curious about, and I didn't ask Matt this because I forgot, but how do you like hype yourself up for a high school golf tournament or any like golf tournament you were going into? Like, obviously, football, you kind of just like want to run through a wall. Basketball, similar thing. That's kind of how it was with track. But I feel like golf is so different where you need to kind of like keep that heart rate down, stay calm, while also like hyping yourself to beat someone. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
It changed throughout the years for me, and it kind of just depended on the team you were around. Like my freshman and sophomore year of high school, like we had like a basically like a walk-up song or a song we would play in the van on the way over to a match. Fucking Problems, like
There you go.
ASAP, Drake. I don't know why, but that's just what we did. So for those, yeah, like that was like our hype up, get locked in type of thing. And then from afterwards, we didn't really have anything like that. I think it kind of depended on how seriously we took the match.
Hmm.
Like if it was a rival team that we really wanted to beat, we would kind of just be zoned in. People would just have, headphones in you know, going to the match. Um, if it wasn't, we kind of, took it a little bit easier, messed around in the van on the way over. But yeah, I guess it really depended. And when it came to states and stuff, everyone was pretty serious.
Right.
And then you were kind of more focused on settling down, than like, riling yourself up.
And was that a team event and like solo performance? Like, would there be two champions?
Yeah. It was still one round, but yeah, it was separated by individual and team. And like I guess before states there's like sectional qualifiers, where like sectional qualifiers is also one round where your team has an opportunity to qualify as well as yourself.
Got it. Very cool, man. All right, so now that you're past your more intense competitive golf days, what gives you the juice, man? Like, what gets those competitive juices flowing on the golf course? Is there anything that can get you back in the zone?
I mean, yeah, playing matches with the boys, that'll always get me going. I think every time I play, I try to, play some kind of money game. And really, it's not really about the money at all, like whether it's $5 or 20 or 50. That's what I've learned. I used to kind of, get a little out of hand with how much I was betting out there, and it just kind of, you know, because regardless you want to win, it's not really about how much you're taking off your friend, but yeah, I mean playing for more always does get the heart rate going a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of what brings me back to golf is, I mean, it's literally probably my favorite thing to do in the world. But yeah, being able to play matches with with your friends and my former teammates on the high school team and stuff, that's what brings me back. And what really gets me fired up is, seeing the guys that I was way better than then, way better than back then, just slowly kind of creeping up on me, and getting closer and closer. That's tough.
The reason I wanted to ask you that question is so obviously I ran track and like I can't go to the track with my buddies and race them on the weekend to get my competitive juices flowing, so I look to golf to kind of get that. So I'm jealous that you get to keep, essentially doing your sport for the rest of your life. I feel like not every sport can say that, especially like football. You can't do that. Basketball, obviously, the knees go on you at some point. But golf, dude, you could, keep playing money games until you're 80 years old if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think when I was playing when I was younger, like sixth to eighth grade, no one else was really playing golf. And if anything, people were making fun of me for playing golf. Especially when I quit soccer, they're like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Golf wasn't cool
Um,
back then.
it wasn't cool, and now everyone's, at least a lot of people are starting to play, which has been nice for me. Um, Always have at least, one or two people I can go out with.
So do you practice much now? I imagine it's much less, obviously, when you were playing competitively. But what does practice look like now?
Yeah, very few and far in between, I guess. Ever since moving to New York as well, it's just been really hard to, find a range that's affordable, and it's hard to just get out there because I don't have a car. When I was in Seattle, I could go to the range quite a few times a week, play rounds, and it was warm-ish year round, so in the winter time I could still get out there. But so yeah, like right now is probably the least I've played in my life, and I am trying to make more of an effort this spring and summer to, try to find courses around here, even if it's, taking a train a few hours, I mean, an hour plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's why I kind of hit you up about, going to Scottsdale is, it's because I haven't been able to, the itch for it has just been stronger than ever.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Ever since
Yeah.
whenever I do one of these interviews, I always finish it. I'm like, fuck, dude, I need to play some golf. I mean, it's gonna be pretty warm. It's gonna be pretty warm this week, at least in Boston. I imagine it's similar
Oh shit.
uh, down in the city. I might have to try and get out to the range at least, or try and play nine. But
Yeah,
you
for
brought up
sure.
Scottsdale, so let's pivot
Mm.
a little bit and talk about some golf travel,
Mm.
some just the golf world in general. So tell me about like your favorite golf course you've ever played.
Might be influenced by recency bias a little bit, but I gotta go with Bethpage. And you were there as well as Matt. But yeah, for me it was my second time, and I think this time felt more memorable. I don't know why. Sometimes when I play a nice course like this, I tend to kind of black out and I forget like the holes and forget the round. But yeah, Bethpage is just the blend of the challenge, and it's not in nature. It's just kind of, yeah, it's not necessarily in nature, but it's beautiful in itself. And every hole is different. You have, like the dog leg rights, the dog leg lefts, the long par threes, the shorter ones. You really get a blend of everything, and that's why I feel like it's just like the perfect challenge for your game. Also, the fact that it's a public course and it's not even that expensive. I think it was like 140 bucks, which is insane compared to other courses like Torrey, which was like 280.
I mean, it's only
Um,
$80 if you're a New York
if you're
resident. I mean, you
resident.
you got your license now, right? You got to be going there every weekend.
Yeah, I gotta, and you get 7 days in advance for the tea time reservation. So I'm hoping to get out there a lot and bring you over here too.
So tell me
Yeah.
a little bit more about Bethpage, because when we were there, you and Matt played the tips.
Mhm.
Would you say that's the? I mean, it has this obviously reputation as being wildly difficult. Can you tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about like why it's so hard? I guess from you obviously having played you being a borderline scratch golfer, like what makes it such a hard golf course?
Yeah, you just have to be in the fairway. You miss the fairway, and because it's such a long course, you'll have, even if you were in the fairway, you would have like a 4 or 5 iron in, and now you're having to hit a 4 or 5 iron out of thick rough, which is just impossible. So that's kind of what I struggled with when we played, was I was just in the rough the whole time.
I mean, the
So I
rough
would
was
have to,
thick.
it's
It was
so thick,
crazy.
right? Like you
Was it
can't.
thicker when we were there in October than when you had played it the other time?
100%. Yeah. I remember the first time being able to, or at least like sometimes getting good lies in the rough and being able to get like a long iron on it. But this time around, it was, if you were in there, 8 iron, 7 iron max to just chop it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest challenge really. Like the length, rough, and also yeah, like a lot of the greens are like island greens, meaning like there's no like fairway leading up to it. So
Right.
if you're short, like you're plugged in the rough. Like there's no, running one up onto the green.
And the
But
other
yeah, I
thing
think
too that I found when we were playing, obviously the rough is crazy. Like if you're more than 150 out, like good luck even trying to get to the green. But it felt like everywhere where you could miss that wasn't out of bounds, there was a bunker. Like all of like the main miss spots that were like just right or just left, like right in the landing zone, like bunkers. I think Matt must have been in like 10 fairway bunkers when we played there.
Yeah, dude, and they're deep. Like they're so deep. I forget the hole. I think it was four, where it's like, the bunker into the hill, and just
Hmm.
just to get it out of there, it's like a lob 60. So yeah, that's like another element of what makes the place so hard. And there's
And
no
you'd say it's
breaks.
the hardest course you've played to date.
Yeah, I think I think by far, honestly. Yeah, I don't think it comes too close.
It is interesting. Like I feel like there's obviously tons of quote unquote hard golf courses out there that they make hard for PJ Tour events. Like the Country Club, I'm sure I've never played it. I'm sure it's a difficult golf course, but it's probably way easier when the members go around there every day than when the U.S. Open comes there. But Bethpage, it's just hard all the time. And I think that that's something very special where they're like, you know what, like we're not going to just make this place hard when the tour pros come around here once every 5 to 7 years. We're going to make it hard for everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the only thing they do is maybe grow out the rough a little bit more,
Yeah,
but
or speed
I don't
ramp
think
up the
they're
greens a
like,
bit.
yeah, but overall layout, I don't think they're changing too much.
So on the note of like, so Bethpage's favorite golf course, what is your lowest round to date in your golf career, and where was it?
Yeah, it was at Putterham. So that's where I grew up playing. That's literally probably more than 50% of all rounds that I've played that were at Putterham. Best round there was a 67. Yeah, I think it's a par 70 now, but it was a par 71 back then. So, yeah, four under, just bogey free, four birdies, 14 pars.
That'll
Um,
do it.
I've yeah, and I've had good nines during matches that we just, since it's a match, we don't finish 18. And yeah, that was like the comeback match that, I talked about before with Matt. And yeah, that was my best nine. I shot five under. Very short course though, kind of an asterisk. But
Justin,
yeah.
you can only play the course in front of you, man. You can't throw in an asterisk out there. Um, but going back to the round of 67, and you
Yeah.
talked before about that time in a match where like you felt the fire, coming off the club face. When
Mm,
you shot 67, were you like, I'm playing unbelievable, or was it
mm.
just like, kind of going through the motions, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm kind of playing some unbelievable golf.
Yeah, no, it was completely different vibe from like that other match that I was talking about. Like there was really nothing spectacular about, the 67. It was just very consistent. I wasn't hitting any of them, close. It was just put it on the green, 20, 30 feet away, two putt, like pretty much every hole. And then like a lot of the birdies came from par fives, and then like some of the short par fours or par threes. I forget the exact holes that I birdied, but yeah, I was in a zone, like I was really focused, locked in, and what I think differentiates that round with others was like I wasn't even thinking about the score at all. And other rounds, like you're hot, then you start thinking, oh, like I'm two under through three. I'm about to break the course record. Or like,
Right.
when you're playing bad, you're like, shit, I gotta make a birdie and get this back on track. But this round, yeah, I just, shot by shot, hole by hole,
And was
felt.
that in a competition, or was that just playing?
I think I forget who I was playing with, but it was just like a friendly match with with some of the guys on the high school team.
Yeah.
Just like a weekend 18.
Putterham
Yeah.
must have a pretty special place in your heart, dude. You've been playing it your whole life. That's where you grew to love the game.
Yeah, if I need to revise my answer to your favorite golf course question, and it's actually Putterham. But yeah, I mean that's where I learned how to do literally everything. Chip and putt, play holes, and now they have a driving range too. So yeah, just seeing it evolve over like the last 15, 20 years. Obviously, yeah, holds a very special place in my heart.
And now they're completely rerouting it. I think that's gonna be this summer, dude. They're doing the
Are
whole
they?
rerouting. Yeah, like
Oh shit.
I'm gonna blank on it now, but Yeah, I forget what I think 12 is going to be number one. Like you're going to go out or 13. What is it? Because the short
Okay.
par three, and then the next hole's 13. You go out up the
Mm,
hill, then down and back. I think that'll be like the first five holes, and then you go out and play one, and then you play nine. Will still be nine. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that, but I know they're rerouting it like crazy.
damn. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, you'll
Um,
have to come back and play it.
I've been dying to play it actually. I think it's been like 2 years since I've played a full 18 out there. Usually
Putterham's
it's
fun.
like I love it. No, I love it. Yeah, usually it's been like a sneak out type of situation, play a few holes after work, but no, I need to get a dedicated 18 out there.
I mean, dude,
Um,
those were the glory days when it was like over the summer, like in high school or like freshman sophomore year of college, everybody's just working as like camp counselors or whatever. You get off work at like 3 4 o'clock. You can go just like sneak out through the parking lot of Putterham. You can't
mhm.
really can't beat that.
Yeah, no enforcement. They had no idea it was happening.
I know. Now they're cracking down,
Yeah,
but you can
yeah.
still
They
go.
put like a fence up there or like a gate, right?
Yeah.
From the
They were
parking
catching
lot.
on to us.
Damn, party fouls.
I know.
Um,
But it's crazy, dude. The thing about Putterham last year, they actually had to close it down for like the entire fall because or
mm.
maybe it was just the front nine because we got so much rain last year. And
Oh shit.
Putterham's like essentially a swamp. Like I think the country
Yeah.
club drains all of their water into into Putterham. But yeah, they had to close it. It was like unplayable. It was just so wet. I think in previous years they probably would have just kept letting people go out there and like
Oh
play in the swamp, but they put their foot down.
yeah, they didn't give a shit. Nine was always like a lake, like a
Oh, so
legitimate
sick.
lake, in the middle of the fairway. So good to see that nothing's improved.
So to switch speeds a little bit,
Hmm?
when you said way earlier before that when you were growing up playing golf, your dad was always a big Tiger Woods fan, always had golf on the TV. As you were, getting more and more into golf, were you like a golf fan yourself, or did you just, really enjoy playing?
Yeah, I was golf fan, loved watching and playing. But yeah, I was the biggest Tiger Woods fan of all time. Ask my friends to this day, they think I'm the biggest Tiger Woods dick rider they know, which is probably true. But that was kind of, watching Tiger was one of the huge reasons why I wanted to play too.
Right.
Part of it, yeah, was I liked playing and, going out there with my dad, but a lot of it was just watching him on TV, seeing him dominate, just seeing the way he carried himself on the course, the way he celebrated, press conferences, just like everything about him, I was like, you know, gravitated towards. And when I was on the course, I would just like wanted to be like him, like I used to have a book called How I Play Golf by Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, like learned a lot about the short game and the full swing just by reading that book. Would watch a lot of his videos to figure out, how to, make it as similar to his swing as possible. So yeah, no, that like being a golf fan was also what led into, me wanting to get out there a lot.
Is there one specific like because you watched, I mean, you're lucky, you were watching Tiger in the glory days. Like I started watching golf in like freshman year of high school, so that would have been like 2013. Tiger won like five times that year, but obviously he wasn't winning majors. And then obviously I saw the 2019 Masters, which was awesome. But like
Mm,
I can only see like YouTube clips of, peak Tiger in 2000, 2002, 2003. So
mm.
do you have like a distinct favorite memory of watching Tiger in those peak years?
Yeah, without a doubt, my favorite was '08 US Open at Torrey Pines
You saw that
when he
live?
made, yeah, yes sir.
Oh, that's sick, man.
When he was, yeah, on 18, made that birdie to force a 18 hole playoff. That jumps out to me. I remember that. And so when I got to go play Torrey, just standing on that 18th green felt surreal. Um, because that was one of, if not my favorite sports moment of my life. And a close second place was also, I was really young, but I still remember like the '05 Masters chipping on 16. And yeah, when those went in, I was freaking out. My mom's like, "You gotta relax," but I didn't care, man.
And
Uh,
did you have so I, like again like I can't I imagine everybody at the time was just like Tiger and then everybody else in terms of fandom. Was there anybody else you liked watching on tour at the time?
nah, I didn't care about anybody else, like not even one bit. Maybe Anthony Kim when he kind of came
You know
onto
he's
the
back.
scene.
He's coming
Yeah,
back this
Live.
weekend on Live.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Um, no, I'm really excited for that actually. Is that this weekend?
Yeah, dude,
Oh
over in
shit.
Jeddah. They brought him on as a like you know how Liv has teams, like he's not on a team. They gave him like a
Hmm.
wild card spot, so
Oh,
if he
okay.
plays well, they'll keep inviting him back and then eventually they'll probably add him to a team or something like that.
Oh, okay. So if he plays bad, he's gone.
I guess. But somebody on I think it was on maybe on Golf Channel, or I don't know, maybe it was on TikTok, made a good point. Like Anthony Kim's a damn good golfer. Like, I don't think he would come back after 10, 12 years away from the game if he wasn't pretty confident about his game. Like, he's not going to
For
come
sure.
back just to, like, fucking chop it up.
Yeah, especially yeah, you don't want to come back and completely embarrass yourself. Shoot like 80s.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
because he's got
some
a
people.
pretty good reputation. Like, I mean, he was a beast back in the day.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, no, I hope he does well. We'll see. But yeah, 10, 12 years off of competitive golf. I mean, it's very different playing in tournaments than playing, just a casual round at home. So yeah, excited to see how he deals with it.
So Tiger was your guy growing up.
Yeah.
Tiger not as much on the scene now. Who are some of your favorite golfers now to watch?
Now it's got to be Jordan. Aside from Tiger, yeah, Jordan's number one. His run in, 2015, 2016, 2017 was like the close, I don't like it felt like the closest thing to Tiger in his
Right.
prime. And yeah, I've never let go of that fandom, even though, it hasn't been so great the past few years. Very, very frustrating being a Jordan Spieth fan, I can tell you
I can imagine,
that.
especially at Riv. You got to double check that scorecard.
Oh yeah, dude. What the hell?
I actually want to
Um,
ask you about this, Justin. Have you ever been in a position
yeah.
like that where like I'm just trying to understand how a golfer could realistically sign for the incorrect score. I feel like it's the most important thing you got to do.
No, I can 100% see it happening, and it's like it's almost happened to me at tournaments before, where it's like basically someone else is signing your scorecard, you have your own, and then at the end of the round, you kind of just like cross check with the guy that kept score, but it depends on just like the state of mind you're in. Like
Yeah.
if you had a great round, you're like really on top of it. If you had a shitty 18 that you don't really care about, then like, you're kind of less focused on like making sure everything's correct and kind of assuming that things will be right.
Right.
And I think that's what that happened to Jordan. He had double bogey on 18. He kind of, didn't really care.
He
So
apparently had to take a
I,
shit.
yeah, oh yeah, he was also sick from like the in and out that fucked Tiger up. So yeah, I could see it happening. I think it's a really dumb rule, but um, yeah, definitely could see that mistake. Yeah.
So we talked about your favorite golfer, Jordan Spieth, and I. That's honestly an interesting. I feel like not a lot of people have. Maybe they do, and I just don't know. But I feel like a lot of people don't like Tiger and Jordan Spieth. At least I used to hate Jordan Spieth when he like was doing really good because I was like, I don't want anybody to be like Tiger. Like that's why I didn't like Rory at first when he came on. It's like, oh, this new kid's like coming. It's like it's also why I don't like Patrick Mahomes. It's like I don't want anybody to be as great as Tom Brady or as great as Tiger. Did you ever feel this conflict there where like Jordan was gonna somehow catch Tiger Woods? Because that's how people were hyping him up when he had that run.
Dude, I 100% feel that, but it wasn't towards Jordan. I felt that towards Rory.
Mm.
Maybe because I guess Rory and Tiger had more of an overlap,
Yeah.
and Rory was kind of taking down Tiger in a few tournaments here and there. So I really saw Rory as a threat, and I used to hate him for it. It took me a really long time to become not that I'm like the biggest Rory fan right now. I respect the hell out of him, but it took me a while to come around. Jordan, yeah, I guess like less overlap. Just being like a lot younger than Tiger. I guess Rory's also a lot younger, but maybe I didn't see him as much of a threat as
I
Rory
mean, Rory was a
subconsciously.
beast because Rory also like
Yeah,
hits the ball so far, like Tiger. Like he had a similar like game to Tiger, where it was like pound the ball, but also still have this amazing short game. Where Jordan's kind of like drivers all over the place, and he like figures out how to make par.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it almost felt like Rory was becoming better at Tiger's game than Tiger was,
The Nike
versus
commercials.
the Nike commercials bombing it. Versus like Jordan, he's always kind of a completely different game of, doesn't hit it that far. I bet Tiger still hits it further than that guy, but
Yeah.
short game wizard, draining 30 footers like it was nothing. So maybe yeah, it being a different style was kind of why I wasn't as worried.
And and since you were such a big Tiger fan, what did you think of Phil back in the day?
I didn't like Phil. But at the same time, like it wasn't really a rivalry because Tiger was still so much better. So
Yeah.
I think when they were in the hunt together, which I don't even know if it happened that much, then I hated Phil, but you know I didn't hate him that much, knowing that Tiger was far ahead.
Right. It was.
Yeah.
I can imagine it was a scenario where Phil fans probably thought it was a rivalry, but Tiger fans didn't really think that was the case. Um, but all right, I know we're going a bit over our budgeted time. So something
Cool.
else
That's
I want to
cool.
talk with you about is I know you've been to a bunch of golf tournaments to watch the PJ Tour majors. I also know you volunteered at a few. So why don't you tell me a little bit
Sure.
about what that experience is like? I know you've been the boom guy, right? The sound guy for NBC.
Yeah, we were the Parabs, mic
The
guys,
what?
basically. Parabs,
What does
Parabs.
that mean?
A Parab is basically like a type of mic. It's like those like long cylinder looking mics.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our job. Like we would just our main focus was to pick up on caddy player conversations, as well as getting the sound of, the club hitting the ball, like that type of thing. So yeah, we were for the last two U.S. Opens, we were actually paid by NBC, and we were featured holes. So it was like the same three holes for 4 days, but we were just posted up. Whichever players came through, you got close to, picked up on their conversations. So yeah, it was I mean a lot of fun. Yeah.
How'd you guys swing that? Because weren't you just supposed to be like normal volunteers?
Yeah, so we were supposed to be normal volunteers for like the country club one because like we grew up there and I think we got first priority. But one of my best friends from college, he actually works at NBC Golf.
Oh, okay.
And he's like the scheduler. I don't know what he does now exactly, but he can kind of refer people pretty easily. So um, and yeah, they didn't have to pay us for like hotel and travel fees, so like we were pretty ideal candidates for them.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it started in Brookline, and then I enjoyed it, so did it again at LACC.
Did they fly you guys out to LACC? And are you going to be down in Pinehurst?
I think I'll be at Pinehurst. It's we haven't solidified anything yet. But as long as my friend stays at NBC Golf, I think I'll be able to get in there. I don't know if Matt wants to do it the third time. But yeah, no, they did not fly us out for LACC. I guess like that's like the one condition of our employment is like, we don't have to pay for your travel fees.
Right.
And I mean, it's just like a paid vacation for me. It pays for, housing and stuff like that with a little extra change. So no complaints.
All right. Well, we can start wrapping up a little bit. We could probably go all night, but to finish out, I want you to tell me one, your favorite golf club in the bag, and then two, we'll finish out. I just want you to tell me, why you're still so obsessed with the sport of golf, playing golf, and kind of what's kept you at it for the past 20 years.
Favorite club's got to be a 60 without a doubt. Um, favorite, I mean, I use it to hit like anything under 90 yards. Even, I mean, I've been starting to rely more on like the 52 for bump and runs, but for the most part, I'm just, you know, de-lofting that 60 degree and playing it that way. But yeah, I guess I feel like I just have the most control with that club. And I think some of my more memorable shots throughout the years have come with that. You know, flop shots or bunker shots and things like that. So it's the club I feel the most comfortable with, and the one I can feel like I can be more like most creative with. So yeah, I think far and above 60 degree. Second question was what
Yeah, I guess.
brings me back?
Yeah, like why are you still after all this time so into golf?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I mean, is you really remember like great shots you hit during a round. I'm sure you feel the same way. Is like you flush like a 3 wood or hit a perfect 7 iron, and like I'm going to bed like thinking about this 24/7, right? Like yeah, it's just best feeling in the world, and like what brings me back is just like trying to replicate that, right? Hitting cool shots that you'll remember. And yeah, some of the shots that I've hit, even 15 years ago, I'll remember to this day vividly just because of that like adrenaline that you get from hitting that perfect shot. So yeah, that's one of the big things that brings me back. I mean, for me also, it's just it's a nice escape from, like the real world. When I'm out on the course, I don't check my phone at all. So it's nice to just, zone out of, what's happening for 4 or 5 hours, just be out there in nature. Um, and yeah, the other thing is like there's always better. Like you can always get better, no matter, even the guys on tour, right? They're tweaking their swing all the time. Like it's if you compare yourself with other people, then maybe you're not going to get to the point where you want to be. But if you just think about it like, oh, just think about improving your game, there's always ways to either get better at putting, chipping, driving the ball, hitting irons. Like there's so many aspects of the game that you can work on. So it's like that chase for perfection that also brings me back. And yeah, the competitive nature of it as well. I guess yeah, in high school it was you could play in matches or easily just go out to the basketball court, pick up basketball. Like it was very easy to have that competition in sports,
Right.
which has become harder to do now. So it's nice that golf allows us to do that too.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think someone once said it was like you could be playing the worst golf of your life, but as long as you have one shot that makes you want to come back, you'll always have one shot that makes you want to come back the next time. Um, so yeah, I
100%.
totally agree with that. I know I said that was the last question, but you brought it up.
Mhm.
You said you have all these shots that you go to bed thinking about. You're still thinking about now. What is the most memorable golf shot that you've ever had?
I think the one that comes to mind is my second shot at Torrey, 13th hole of Torrey, the South Course, which is a par five that goes up the hill. I think I had like 230 in, and it's uphill, right? So I was just thinking 3 wood probably too much, and it was a back pin, so I don't want to be short-sighted. So just try to rip a 3 iron as far as I can, and just hit probably the most pure flush iron I've hit in my life. Just a high, draw that, took the slope on the green and funneled to like 10 feet. Um, and yeah, that like just the circumstances of it, just being at Torrey and hitting that shot felt pretty surreal. And then also made the putt for eagle, which cherry on
You
top.
always got to make the putt. You can't hit
Yeah,
the
if
shot without
not,
making a
then yeah,
putt.
it's not up there. Yeah.
Do you
So
have a
yeah,
hole
that's
in
probably
one
it.
or anything like that to date?
I have a fake one. I have one at a par three course, which
That
I
count.
don't know.
How
I mean,
long was
so
it?
yeah, like the hole was like 90 yards. Um, with like a turf tee box, like
Okay, that
everything
changes it a
about it
little bit.
screamed jank. And yeah, like I didn't even see it go in. I don't know. So
I feel
I'm
like
not
the
counting it in my
threshold
book.
is like it's got to be from a real tee box over 100 yards. But other
Yeah.
than that, if it's on a par three course, who cares?
I think I mostly agree, or I think I won't count par three course hole in ones,
All
honestly.
right, that's fair.
And J Bell, I mean, one of our friends, he's gonna hate me for saying that because he had a hole in one on a par three course when we were playing. But I guess just like having or like 9 or 18 opportunities to have a hole in one versus in a real round you'll have like four.
Mm,
Um, you know, it makes it easier to hit a hole in one. So.
right. I also think
Um,
there's something to, and I think you've convinced me that it shouldn't count on a par three course, but I think there's also something to like actually penciling in a one on a real round of golf.
For sure. Like 100%. Yeah, like a one when the highest par is a three versus like a one when, mixed in with like par fives and par fours seems a lot more legit.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
All right, man. We'll wrap up there. Thank you so much for giving me 54 minutes of your time. This was a blast. We'll have to get you back on, dude, so we can get more nitty gritty about your Tiger Woods memories, get in that vault, or get more into some more PGA Tour news. I'm sure we could go all day. Maybe we'll do a combo episode with you and Matt. Um,
for sure,
but
man.
yeah, really appreciate it, man. If anyone has listened this long, you better hit that 5-star review, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Find us on social media, TikTok, Instagram. But Justin, thank you again, man. And have a good one, everybody.